Well, hey everybody, welcome back. Okay guys, this is the Old Bob walk around video that I promised y'all. But before we get started, I have to say and give out a huge, and I mean huge, thank you to all of you who have put money into the tip jar, put money into YouTube via the super chat, super thanks, and super stickers, as well as all of you who went into my eBay site and purchased a rock. All of that, every last bit of it got pooled together, and it's because of you guys. Y'all helped me pay for a little over 70% of all of Old Bob's repairs that have transpired over the last 2 months. Guys, thank you so much. I mean, I'm at a loss of words. I really do wish that all of you were here where I could just, shake your hand, give all the ladies a big hug. I mean, what an incredible outpouring of support. I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that I would have seen something like I did. That just tells me, guys, how much you enjoy the channel, how much you enjoy what I do, taking you to all of these fun and interesting places. And now I'm back on the road again, and I can keep doing it for many, many, many more years. Again, so before we get started, let me scroll down through the names here of all the people that put money into the tip jar. This one is for you. Take a look. And here, all of you who donated money via the super chat, super thanks, and super stickers in the comment section of YouTube. This one here, this is for you. And for all of you who went into the eBay site and purchased a rock to put up on your bookshelf, that too helped out the channel. But unfortunately, I didn't get a list of names done for you guys. But you know who you are. Guys, thank you so very much. Okay, so how did this whole process start? Well, let's go back to the very, very beginning. You guys watched the video. I told you all about how the engine blew up, what happened alongside the highway. If you haven't seen that, you can go back to that video. I'll leave a link down in the description area where I talk about exactly how it all went down. Okay, then it came time to order an engine. Well, the first engine that I had in here, I got nearly 300,000 miles out of it. So, and that one was from Chad Golan at Golan Engine Service out of New Hampshire. Chad, I can't thank you enough. I mean, you make a great product, guy. You really, really do. And that's why this is the second engine that I've bought from you, because they just perform so extraordinarily well, and their durability and longevity is there too. What more could a Jeep guy ask for? I mean, with that first engine of mine, definitely got my money's worth, and I know I'm going to get my money's worth out of this one too. So I'll be seeing you again if you're around, maybe in another, let's say, 15 to 20 years when I buy my third engine from you. Chad, thank you so much. I know you're watching. I sent you the link. Then after I got the engine from Chad, well, then they had to ship it all the way to New Hampshire. all the way to Lake Havasu. That's right, guys. I didn't tell you where I was having all the work done, but that's where it was all being done. So while everything was coming together in Lake Havasu, I was up in northern Nevada, roughly around 500 miles away, coordinating all of this from a distance. I wasn't in town. So my next thanks goes out to Anderson Chrysler in Lake Havasu. Thank you guys for allowing Paul to work on my late model Jeep. I know that's not something that's, really done anymore these days because he's so old, but you guys opened your doors up for me, let me bring my Jeep in there so that Paul could work on it. Anderson Chrysler, your business, your team, everything about you, I just absolutely love it. Your customer service is over the top. Every time I go there, I'm treated like royalty, for crying out loud. So guys, if you've got any, if you need any work done on your newer vehicles, make sure you go to Anderson Chrysler in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. They do fantastic work and they treat you well. My next thanks is for you, Paul. That's right, Paul Corda. You know who you are. You're the one that did all of the work putting this thing together, and what a fantastic job that you did. You, my man, you did all of the heavy lifting, and I can't thank you enough. I mean, wow. And the whole time it was going down, Paul, I had the utmost confidence in you. I know you know what you're doing. I didn't have to worry. I slept well at night, because it was in really super good hands. You're a hell of a mechanic, okay? You remind me a lot of myself when I was younger. You know, you have that dedication that you put into your work, and I recognized that many years ago when we first met and I brought my Jeep to you way back then. Paul, thank you so very much. I mean, what a great job you did. He's running great. Everything, I mean, there's no problems to report. I did have to tweak that bracket just a little bit. The one that was causing the throttle to kind of open up a little bit. I shaved off another, maybe around another 1/16 of an inch of metal off that bracket. I would say that the throttle issue is probably about 85 to 90% gone. I might have to shave just a little bit more off of there, but, it's one of those things. Guys, after you do a project like this, there's going to be a little bit of tweaking involved, okay? Things change, things move around, etc., and you got to come back into it, and you got to do a little thing here and a little thing there, zip tie a wire, so on and so forth, and that's what I've been doing over the last few weeks, is getting all that out of the way. All right, so what would you guys like to do first? Well, let's do a walk around. We're going to start. We'll do the outside, then we'll do the inside, and then after that, maybe we'll do the engine. I don't know. Let's just get started, okay? So, old Bob. Who is he? Where did he come from? Why do I call him Old Bob? Well, Old Bob is a character in a Disney movie called The Black Hole that came out around, I think it was, 1979? And Old Bob was that old robot in that movie, and as a kid, that was one of my favorite movies. And what I liked about Old Bob is he was a bit beaten and broken and dented up, but you know what, guys? Old Bob always got the job done. And that's what my Jeep does for me. He's no parking lot princess. He's no pavement princess. Guys, you got to think about Old Bob as like he's a hammer. He's a screwdriver, okay? He's a wrench. He's a tool is what he is, and that's how I use him. So I don't care if I scrape him up against some rocks, brush him up against a tree, roll him over on his side like I did once before, and I just push him back over and keep on going down the trail. That's how I use Old Bob. He's a tool, okay, and he's used as such. And so what I did over the years is little by little, as all you Jeep owners know, okay, it takes, you just keep adding into a Jeep, all right? You start off with a stock Jeep, and then little by little, you just keep adding more, and you keep adding more, and you keep adding more, and more, and more, and more, until finally it gets to a point where you've got so much money into your Jeep, you just can't get rid of it. You know, and that's why a lot of you guys who are like, oh, you know, just go out and get yourself a Tacoma, or go get yourself a 4Runner or a Land Rover or something like that. Okay, that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys, is that when you finally reach a level like where old Bob is at right now, if an engine goes, you don't just throw the baby out with the bathwater, okay? No. You pull the engine, you put a new one in, and you get back on with your life, because you've got so much invested into everything else, and that's what I'm about to show you. That's why you don't do something like that. So as the years went by, one of the first things that I did is I got the interior done. So why don't we do it like that? We'll kind of approach this in a chronological sort of way, okay? Let's do that. So I'm going to bring you on in here, and I'm going to show you the interior. Okay. And another thing we're doing today is we're going to be doing this whole entire thing via a 360 camera. So that'll be kind of interesting. Let's just set it right there. Okay, here I am on the passenger side, and what we have in here is this was probably back in around 2010 or 11 is when I did all the interior work. I did all the carpet. Jeeps are notoriously known to be really, really noisy, especially out on the highway. So I wanted to do some things to dampen that. So I wrapped the ceiling here in carpet. It's the same kind of carpet that you would find on, you know, big box speakers, that kind of stuff. The floor has Dynamat. They're real thick stuff, okay? It's about 3/4 of an inch thick. The whole entire floor is Dynamated. And then on top of that, it's carpeted too. All right, let's see, what else did I do? Okay, so after all that was done and the carpet was in, well, I love music. Music is a big part of my life, and it's been that way my whole entire life, guys. So for me, I couldn't just have a regular old stereo system where you just got some door speakers or anything like that. Oh no, because my motto is anything worth doing is worth overdoing. That's me. That's just ask my family and friends. It's like, oh yeah, he's up to his old tricks again. So what did I do? Bob has 10 speakers in him, okay, driven by an Alpine deck, which I purchased back in 2010, and it's still clicking along after all these years. That old Alpine, it doesn't take CDs. You got to do everything either via Bluetooth, but I absolutely love it. It's like a tank. Now that feeds, can you see this back here? I got so much stuff in the back, you might not be able to see it. But back there is two Rockford Frostgates 400 watt amplifiers sitting side by side back there, okay? And those guys, they power the speakers down here on the floor. There's two here. There's two right behind the seat, okay? There's two up in the dash, so that's 6, okay? Then there's two up on the wells, on the wheel wells. That's 8, okay? Then there's behind the back seat, there's a big old 12-inch subwoofer from Pyle, okay? That's 9. And then right here on the seat where all of my luggage and gear, and you can't really see it because you see, look back here. This is how I kind of do it. We'll get into that in a minute. That's it's that speaker. That's a 10-inch woofer from, I forget the manufacturer now. Anyways, that would be speaker number 10. So after a long day of exploring mines, and you have a real successful day, and the adrenaline is high because you had an awesome explore. Well, I got to tell you, there's nothing better than heading back home with the tunes cranked. You're jamming out well, in my case, I love German industrial. So, you're just going down the road and just having a good old time heading back to base camp. That's how I do it. Gotta have my music. All right, so where do we go from here? Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab this and we're gonna go over here, okay, to the back. You guys have to see this. Let's open up the tailgate. Okay. You guys are probably like, holy cow, I never thought you had that much speaker or stereo equipment in a Jeep. Well, yeah, I'm a nut. I'm not like the normal person. So there is a pile 4,000 watt MOSFET amplifier right there, and that's been, and I made all this myself. The wood that stretches between the roll bar, it holds the amplifier both on this side as well as the two Rockford Fosgates on the other. Down here is a surge suppressor, so when you really got your bass thumping, your lights aren't bouncing around. You know what I'm talking about. You guys in the audio world, you know what I'm talking about. And then over here is that case right there is what holds the 12-inch subwoofer. Yep. So yeah, old Bob rocks. Oh, and behind here, down in the corner, is a power management system that I put together myself so that you don't drain out the battery. It gives you a notification when you're getting a little too low. I like that. So when I'm at camp, I can listen to the tunes, and once that alarm comes on, I know I either have to turn the key off or I have to start the engine and let the engine run for a while, let that alternator juice up the battery again. That's what's going on there, okay? All right, that's that. Now, hey, there it is. I can hear it right now. Okay. All right, anywho, what else we got back here? Let's look around. So then after I got done with let's just set this over here for a second. So after I got done with all of the interior work, okay, the next thing I did many years later is I decided that, okay, now's the time for exterior body work, panels and things of that nature. Okay, so give me just a second, guys, and we'll jump back into that here in a moment. Okay, guys, nope, I was getting a little ahead of myself there. There was a few more things about the interior that I wanted to show you. I'm just doing this off the cuff, okay? There's no script here, it's all improv. So I hope I'm doing pretty good for you, giving you all the grand tour. All right, now here I am over on the driver's side. So what are all the little thingamajiggies and whatchamacallits that I have over here? Okay, so first of all, let's start off over in the corner. Of course, we got Bobby, Quackers, and old Bob from the movie up there on the dash. Circle down over here. Everybody needs a good cell phone holder, but unfortunately mine's broken. I need a new one. It's completely thrashed, so that's something I'll be working on this winter. Up over here on the dash is my radar detector. Now, I'm not a speeder. That's not why it's there. It's there simply because I like to know where the fuzz is, okay? It's as simple as that. You know, if I'm coming up to whatever town, I just like to know where they're at. Over here, this is my water temperature gauge, CB, which I don't use very often, but I thought I'd install it anyways, just in case. You know, it's one of those kind of safety emergency things. But I've never really been in the situation where I've used it to talk back and forth on the trail. It was more one of those things where if I get in trouble and I have to call out, you know, in an area where I don't have cell phone reception, I might be able to catch someone on the CB. It's just one more thing it's nice to have. Down over here, let's see, looking down in the can you see over here? I hope you can. Okay, down in the console there, that's where I keep all spare parts that are tiny, spare fuses, spare modules, spare relays, all that stuff is in that center console down there. Of course, I got my pistol in the middle. Over here, underneath my seat, I always keep my binoculars handy. Those are down there. Gloves, two extra flashlights. And underneath the seat are all my tools, hammer, crowbar. I got an old piece of drill steel down in there that I've used many times for banging on whatever you need to bang on. You know what I mean? And then, of course, a fire extinguisher, just in case old Bob decides to do something silly and catch on fire. And I can quickly grab that big old fire extinguisher and give him a good old hosing down. All right, now, okay, look around the other direction over there. You see what's right above the passenger seat. Okay, that's my rig for holding the GoPro 360 camera for getting those in-cab shots. That's what that rig does. holds that camera at perfect eye level position so that you, the audience, can more or less kind of see things from a vantage point as if you were in the Jeep right there with me. See how I got that set up? In the back seat here, okay, it is completely full right up to the window. I hope you guys can see that real good. Off to the right is my helmet. Behind my seat here is all my tools, okay? So I got to set this up here real quick. I'm going to show you something. You guys are getting the full the full thing today. Okay, let's put the camera back in here. Okay. So you're probably like, well, what do you carry around with you everywhere you go? Well, think of it this way, guys. Old Bob is basically a bug-out bag on wheels. I have everything that you would ever need for almost every situation back here, okay? Of course, it's winter now, so in the mornings it's pretty darn cold. If you break down and you need to do some walking, you got to have some jackets. Underneath that, I have this right here is so that if the battery dies, okay, for whatever reason, I've got one of those giant lithium ion battery packs. You know, it's a jump starter, but it's the big boy right here, because you can't jump start an automatic transmission. Okay, that's the thing. All right, if you have a standard transmission, you can roll it down the hill and pop the clutch, but you can't do that with an automatic. So you better have a way of being able to give yourself a jump start when you're out on the trail if your battery dies. Underneath here, extra wiring, more extra spare parts. I mean, I got spare parts on top of spare parts. Behind the seats are even more spare parts. Think of it this way. Every single thing that you can think of that goes onto my engine, be it a crankshaft positioning sensor, be it a map sensor, a throttle body positioning sensor, you name it, I have a spare, and in many cases, 2 or 3. And they all sit in that big bucket behind both seats, okay? Funnel for refueling out on the trail if I ever had to do it. I always carry an extra 5 gallons of gas around with me right here, okay? What else is over here? Over on that side, extra hoses, extra clamps, extra, what was that other thing I have over there? All of that kind of stuff. So if you blow a radiator hose, anything that has to do with antifreeze, okay, all the spare parts are over there. Underneath the seat, okay, you're out on a trail, you turn the key, and the starter goes and dies on you. It's happened to me 2 times. That's right, had to change a starter out on the trail. Underneath the seat is a spare starter, okay, as well as more hoses and other different things. A lot of weight back here, okay? That's what you probably are all scratching your head saying right now is, holy cow, that's a lot of weight. It is, but you want to know something? When you're back in the middle of nowhere, you're 30, 40 miles away from civilization, and you got to try to figure out a way to get you out of that mess. You better have all of this stuff, okay? Otherwise, you're going to be doing a lot of walking, okay? I'm gonna do whatever I possibly can to try to make a trail fix to get me out of that situation, and I'm gonna carry with me everything short of a brand new engine and transmission in the back seat, okay, to get me out of that situation. So that's what we got going back here. What you're seeing right now, again, is my helmet. These big 3 cases over there hold all 3 of my drones. This is my Buzz Lightyear outfit right over here. In this case right here, this is super cool. It's from DeWalt. It's a cordless battery-operated air pump. Okay, so I can air up my tires. Remember the old days when you used to have onboard air in order to air up and air down your tires? That's all old technology now. Okay, these days you wouldn't believe I can air up all 4 of Bob's tires from flat on 1 battery. What's in this case right here? Absolutely amazing. Of course, I have extra batteries too. All right, that's pretty much for the inside. Oh, and finally, can you see up there? Look up there in the corner. That's the Wonder Hussy sticker that she put on my windshield many years ago when we came out of the mine and found the sticker on the wiper blade, okay? And yet, you guys have noticed I've taken off all the stickers from the roll bar, and the only reason I did that is because, well, you know, it's a new chapter, so I wanted to track down some new stickers over the coming years. Okay, let's head back outside. That's, oh, and this is my tool case. This is my DeWalt tool case. All the sockets and wrenches and ratchets and everything that you would ever need are in there. And I've got another one on that side too that holds extra things that you might need out on the trail. Okay, guys, that's it for the interior. Let's step back outside. Okay, had to change out a battery on the camera. All right, so after I got all of the interior done, then it was time to start working on the exterior and the chassis, okay, and the drivetrain. So where did I go from there? Well, so back in those days, I did a lot of running around with old Bob, with him being in the stock configuration. Stock 31-inch tires, stock wheels, stock suspension, everything you see here didn't even exist back then. And I did a whole lot of running around in a stock configuration with no problem at all. You wouldn't believe how capable a Jeep is just being stock. But as time went by, you know, the trails got a little bit more gnarly, and that's when I said, you know, if I'm going to keep on doing this thing with YouTube, I need to get back into these mines a lot safer, because I just got done showing you how much camera gear I carry around with me. That's not really something that you can, you know, throw over your back and hike into. You got to keep it in the Jeep and take it all with you. So I wanted a little bit more capability. So let me tell you what I did. So around, I would say, we're talking around 2019. That's right. 2019 is when I started my YouTube channel. And as things progressed, as they always do, around 2020, my YouTube channel started to become a little bit more profitable. So I was able to put a lot of that money back into all the various camera gear so that I could up the production value of my videos. And as I did, more and more people jumped on, more and more subscribers. The channel grew and grew. More money was coming in as I was able to put some money into old Bob. So the first thing that I did was I got myself a suspension lift. And the one I went with was from Rock Crawler. That's Crawler with a K. Rock Crawler suspensions make some of the best suspensions out there, especially for, you know, rock crawling. That's why the name of the company is Rock Crawler. And the reason I like them so much, and after I did all of my homework, is I just absolutely love how well the corner-to-corner articulation is with a Rock Crawler suspension. What I mean by that is if you're going up a hill or down a hill and you got a washout there and you got to drop a tire in, okay, often in a stock configuration, when you drop that tire in to that rut, let's say in this case it would be your left front tire, the right rear tire is going to come up off the ground. Well, guess what happens when you don't have lockers? When this right rear tire comes up off the ground, you've lost all your traction. But not with a Rock Crawler suspension. When that tire drops into that thing, okay, it just goes right down in there and everything just evens out and you just articulate your way right across that obstacle and keep on going like it's not even there. Absolutely love it. That's why Bob doesn't have front and rear lockers. Never needed them. Of all the places I've ever been, I've never needed lockers. If you got the right suspension and you're maintaining your traction, okay, via how your suspension is set up, you know what? 8-9 times out of 10, you're not going to be needing lockers unless you're doing something absolutely, truly extreme. And I'm not that kind of guy. I don't do those kinds of trails. I don't do the Moab thing. I'm your typical 2-track kind of a guy. You know, I'll dive into some pretty extreme obstacles every now and then, but I never take it to that level. But we'll get into lockers and axles here in just a minute. So after I got the suspension all put together, drove around for a while. The first thing that failed, okay, unfortunately, was Rock Crawler's shocks. This is my personal opinion, but I think they're absolutely junk. I don't know where they sourced their shocks from and put their name on it, but that was the one failure point of the rock crawler suspension. So if you go that route, guys, I highly suggest that you go with the Blistine shocks, which is what I have on Bob right there. I tell you, once I put those on, wow, night and day difference. I mean, it truly is. It's night and day. You can tell the difference between a substandard shock absorber and a real high quality, high-end one, which are these Blistines that I've got on here now. Okay, then what I did is I went with the Curry anti-rock right there. Okay, that's the other thing that allows more of that articulation on the front end when you're crawling over those obstacles. I absolutely love Curry's anti-rock system. And then after the suspension was done, I went and put on 33-inch tires, 12.5 inches wide. My favorite brand is Maxxis. This is like the third, I'm guessing the third, maybe fourth set of Maxxis Trepidors that I've had on this Jeep. I absolutely love them. I mean, they are grippy. They're not as sticky as some of the bias compounds that are out there, but those aren't really meant to be ran on the highway anyways. I mean, if you do what I do, you're using your Jeep not only to get to where you want to do your trail ride, and you also got to get back home, which requires highway driving too. So you need a radial, and the best radial I've ever found are the Maxxis Trepidors, but I don't think they make them anymore in a 33. I believe they've been discontinued. So once I wear these down to the nub, I'm going to be trying a new set of Mickey Thompsons this winter. I've just heard so many great things about the Mickey Thompson, so I'm going to give them a whirl and see if they work. Okay, what else we got going on here? Well, let's move the camera over this direction. There we go. Okay, on the front end, what do we got going on over here? Well, so in order to tow my Jeep behind my RV, I had to go with this bumper from JCR Off-Road because they got these really good tow hooks right here. So what I do is I take off my D-rings and then I can easily tow this behind the RV. Years later, I went and purchased a really good quality Warren winch. This is a 10,000 pound winch with the nylon rope. Excuse me. It's not the best of the best winches, but you know what? It gets the job done. I've used it about maybe 4 or 5 times. It'll pull old Bob right up a tree if you let it, and that's all you really need. And of course, the synthetic rope, you know, if it snaps, that has its safety factor, and I like that too. Instead of a hook, I went with the Warren Sidewinder right here. I absolutely love it. Now, if you ever get yourself one of these, you're going to love it too, but make sure you keep your pin inside your Jeep in a place where you can find it, because they will vibrate and you will lose the pin, and when you lose the pin, you can't just buy a new one. You got to buy the whole darn thing again. So but I absolutely love this thing. You know, it's just so much better than a hook. All right, what else did I do up front here? So as you guys know, any of you Jeep owners out there, you know that Jeep headlights are absolutely terrible. You got to get rid of those. So I went with the Delta HIDs, high intensity discharge light. They're the ones that kind of give that bluish kind of hue. You've seen it out on the highways. They're super, super bright. But the thing about them is you got to have them aimed correctly. If you don't, you're going to be blinding oncoming traffic. They're going to be flashing their lights at you and absolutely hating you and telling you who's number one, if you know what I'm talking about. So it took me a little bit to get them all aimed, and I had to do a few little modifications in there. For the most part, they're plug and play, but there was a few things that I had to kind of customize in order to get them to fit. But now that I have, I absolutely love them. They're just fantastic headlights. And over here in the corner, this is where I hook up everything for my RV. You know, while the RV is running, I'm also charging the battery on the Jeep. It controls all the lights. turn signals, marker lamps, the whole bit. I installed all that myself, as well as an emergency disconnect right here, so if something terrible happens and that pulls, then everything locks up, and hopefully your Jeep doesn't go flying into the ditch. Okay? All right, guys, give me a second. I'm going to check the battery real quick, and we'll keep doing our walk around. Okay, back over on this side again. Yeah, you know, the thing about these Insta360 cameras is you got to keep an eye on the battery because they use so much power, they run out quick. And then you're just out here talking to yourself. All right, so once all of that was done, now it's time to put on some armor, okay? And that's what I've got going on here. So what you're seeing here are these fenders are from Poison Spider Customs, right? And they're super, super heavy duty, durable. I mean, with these things are made out of not quite 1/4 inch thick steel, but real close. I mean, just a hair under a 1/4 of an inch thick. I mean, it's like adding tank armor to your Jeep. So I added those from Poison Spider Customs. I added the rock sliders, which are made out of the same material. See how they match up real nice? Look at that. No, I'm sorry. Back up, guys. The sliders are from JCR Off-Road. The fenders are from Poison Spider Customs. And so when we had to match them all up, there's a seam right here that had to be custom ground and shaved so that the two would match up perfectly. And the folks over there at Summit 4x4 in Prescott, Arizona did a heck of a nice job in doing that. Now, what do I like about these fenders? Oh boy, I mean, they are so tough. I mean, you could bang that into a rock, tip the Jeep, you know, you're going on the trail and all of a sudden something happens and it slides over into the side of the cliff or a big old boulder. You aren't going to have any body damage. There's just no way. They're too darn tough. It's like armor plating your darn Jeep, and it wraps completely around. So that's what I was concerned about. You know, as I get into more crazy terrain trying to find these mines, there has been times where I had it up on its side. It's like, oh, goodness gracious, you know, don't hit that rock. Well, if I did, you're not going to do any damage anymore. You know what I'm saying? All right, so where are we going to go from here? Well, now that we've done the complete inside and outside walk around, I think it's time to show you guys the engine. Let's do that next. Okay guys, here it is. This is the 4.6 stroker motor from Golan Engine Service. Chad Golan is the guy that did all the work on this. And that's who I was talking about earlier. Now this ain't your regular 4.0. A stock 4.0 is going to have around 195, 197 horsepower. This one here has 272 horsepower with 300 pounds of torque. That is more than enough than you would ever need for the trail, even with old Bob being in the configuration that he's in, with all of the body armor, the weight in the back seat, the larger tires, and everything else. You get this puppy out on the highway, put your foot into it, you're gone, okay? You can use it for passing. It's got that get up and go that you need for when you get behind a semi-truck or someone pulling their motor home or whatever the case may be. Zoom, you're around them. Try to do that with a stock 4.0. Ain't gonna happen. I absolutely love this thing. I mean, and some of you guys have said, oh, you should get crazy and put an LS motor in there or a V8 of some. No, that's just overkill. No, there's nothing wrong with it if you're building a pavement princess and you want something that when it's out on the road acts like a rocket ship. That's great. Or on the track, no problem at all. Do something fun like that. Heck, I encourage it. I used to do crazy stuff like that when I was a lot younger. But when you get down into the realm of practicality, you don't need something that crazy for the trail. You really don't, because if you did, you'd put your foot into it and you'd snap a U-joint, twist a U-joint, or twist a drive shaft, turn it into a candy cane, all that kind of stuff. 300 horse is all you need for a Jeep TJ, which is what old Bob is, okay? That's all you need. Now this one here has all of the extra fancy stuff that you need to get that kind of power. It's got the 62 millimeter throttle body from BBK. It's got Let's see, what else do we have over here? Oh yeah, the 26-pound injectors from Bosch, performance fuel rail. The nice thing about Chad's engines is that they're pretty much just plug and play, so I was able to use the same intake manifold. It's got stainless steel exhaust headers. I put in a brand new distributor, wires, the whole bit. The engine comes complete with high flow water pump, harmonic balancer, all that stuff. You're just ready to go. Just drop it in, plug it all back up again, and down the road you are. Now, over the years, one of the things that I've always struggled with Jeep 4.0s is the heat issue. Okay. So how did I combat that? Well, in the old days, I had an aluminum radiator from PWR out of Australia, which worked really good for a long, long time. But over a period of time, they just kind of get full of that gunk, you know, that stuff. So it was time to throw out the PWR and go with the Misimoto aluminum radiator, and that's what I've got right here, combined with a 2600 CFM fan. Okay. On relay, I never get over 200 degrees Fahrenheit on the trail. Even on a day where it's 90 degrees, 95, coming in on 100 degrees, I can be climbing a hill. It never climbs over 200 degrees Fahrenheit. It's absolutely wonderful. But here's the thing with electric fans, guys, and always remember this, okay? You're going to be swapping them out about every, say, 3 to 4 years, roughly, because an electric fan is an electrical component. And over a period of time, they start to wear out, okay? And when they do, you no longer have 2600 CFM. It starts dropping down maybe around 25, 24, 23, and when it does, you'll be able to notice it happening over time by looking at your temperature gauge that I've got up on my dash, right? The other thing it does is as that motor starts to wear out, you get a little bit more resistance, right? And so when you get more resistance in the motor, well, then you start blowing fuses and you start melting wires. I've got my fuses right over here in this corner, so that I can easily access quickly on the trail, blow one, change out one, super fast, and you're down the trail. But as more and more resistance starts to occur, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to start melting out the connection points. In my case, it's where the butt connectors are that hook up the fan. That's one of the things with electric fans that you have to deal with. They're super nice, they're great for cooling, they give the engine more power because you're not having to run a traditional fan on a belt drive, okay? But they're kind of high maintenance, and over a period of time they wear out. Now, one of the things that I've done with my Jeep that a lot of people haven't is air conditioning. I never use it, okay? I never use air conditioning. When you're out on the trail, if you turn the air conditioning on, it's a hot day, then you're going to go over 200 degrees Fahrenheit with the temperature, okay? That's why I've never used it over the years, and I just roll the window down. You know, I'm old school like that. Don't need AC in a vehicle like this. So all of that has been removed. That's why you can see here where the air conditioning used to be, the compressor, the condenser, all that stuff. Get it out of here. Don't need it. And what I put in its place was this bracket here for the pulley where the AC compressor used to go. Now it's just a bracket and a pulley, okay? Now I know some of you out there, you need a little bit more luxury in your trail riding, and you know, and those newer vehicles like a newer JK or one of those Jeep pickup trucks, yeah, you know, having the AC on, that would be kind of nice, you know, that would be, but like I told you, I'm old school. Get that out of here. You know, it's all about getting down the trail, getting to a mine. You got to sacrifice some creature comforts. I don't need it. Then fast forward years later, I didn't like how all of the wiring was put together in my Jeep. I absolutely hated it. It was just kind of going everywhere, and it needed to be tidied up. So what did I do? Well, if you look at the wiring diagram on a Jeep, pretty much everything runs down two different directions, your passenger side, your driver's side. So what I did is I split up all of the wiring, okay, via two 50 amp fuses right down here, okay. So anything electrical going down the driver's side, you can see over here, You can just kind of barely make them out. Let me bring the camera off this direction. Okay, you see, so you got your negative, you got your positive, which is coming over from the battery. You got all of your relays for your lighting over here. You've got your transformers for your HID Delta kit over here, and all of your fuses for all of your lights on the outside. Okay, now if anything fails on this side of the Jeep, so if I'm bouncing down the trail and one of these components fails for whatever reason, a blown fuse or whatever the case may be, let me show you something. Let me bring you back into the here. You see, can you get in on it? You see these two lights right here? They glow green when the ignition's on. When both of these are glowing green, everything is running perfectly. But if something fails on the driver's side of the Jeep, this green light will go out. And if something fails on the passenger side of the Jeep, that green light will go out. So if anything fails, one or the other of those lights will burn out, and I'll instantly know where to start looking. So it kind of takes out a lot of the guess. Kind of takes out a lot of the guessing, by golly. You know what I'm saying? Then what I did, let's go back around this direction. So basically you got the same thing over here. The only difference is these are pretty darn cool. These came out of a international semi truck. And what they are is they are constant, they're called constant duty solenoids. Okay, there's two different kinds of solenoids out there. You have a temporary duty, which is like a starter solenoid. You Ford and Chevy guys back in the 70s and 80s, you know what a starting solenoid that's a temporary duty. That means that when you turn your key, those 2 points come together, okay, for a short period of time, so that all that power and amperage goes to your starter and starts the motor. Well, in a constant duty solenoid, when those two big connectors come together, clunk, they can stay together all the time, okay? So what that acts as is it acts like a giant switch that's providing power to one side or the other. So this one here is acting as a giant switch as a disconnect from the battery for all the power and systems going on this side of the Jeep, and this one over here is doing it for that side of the Jeep, and both are tied in. Let me see if I get the camera down in here. If you look down in here, you're going to see two big 50 amp breakers, okay, and when you push the button it would pop. So if the breaker trips, you don't have to go scurrying around for a fuse. You can just snap that little red thing back in place and you're good to go again back down the trail. Now, you're probably asking me, what in the world? Why would you do all that stuff? Okay, well, the reason behind it is let's say you roll your Jeep down the hill, right? Let's say a terrible thing happens, you're not paying attention to the road, and all of a sudden you're going to go for a ride and you're going to roll down the hill. Okay, and in that process of rolling down the mountainside, everything is flying all around. I mean, you name it, it's going everywhere. Well, it's one thing to roll your Jeep down a hill. It's quite another to do that, and when it gets to the bottom, an electrical malfunction happens, comes in contact with some fuel or whatever the case may be, and it starts on fire. I don't want that to happen because a rolled Jeep can be repaired. A rolled Jeep that caught fire and burns to the ground on the side of the mountain, that can't be repaired. That's a loss. So if something like that was to happen, then those breakers are going to pop, and I don't have to worry about electric, anything electric creating a spark or doing anything like that to cause a fire. And that's why I built it that way. That in combination with a dry cell battery, these are pretty darn safe batteries. So that's how I set up my Jeep, so that those safety factors are in play for situations like that. What else do we have over here? Let me bring the camera this direction. See down here, there's three more fuses. This is the one I was telling you about that controls the fan. Real easy to get to. You blow a fuse in the trail, wham. You know, it only takes seconds to change them out. This is your transformer for the lights. This is your Dorelli fan controller. This controls when your fan turns on and off, okay, via that little screw plug right there. Okay, just like on the driver's side, you got your positive and negative power blocks here. This is your stock fuse panel that came with the Jeep from the very beginning. This pretty much runs everything inside the Jeep. And let's see, is there anything else? Am I forgetting? Let's keep doing a walk around here. This is the problem I've been having down here with the throttle body. You see this bracket that holds both the throttle cable as well as the kick down? Well, because this performance fuel rail is touching right there, it's holding that bracket back. So what Paul and I had to do was kind of warble out the bolts to move that bracket a little bit closer so that it wouldn't constantly high idle, because what it was doing was kind of holding the idle open just a little bit. And that's what I'm in the process of playing with right now. I may need to take just a little bit more, because this throttle, I don't know if you can see it from right there, but it has just enough to hold it open so it's not at the proper, say, 750 RPM at an idle. That's what's going on. So I'm still kind of goofing with that, but hey, you know what? I'll get it dialed in. Trust me. All right, so that is the engine. Now, what else can we look at? Time to go underneath. That's right. What do we got going on under here? Okay, let's get down. All right. Okay, guys, take a look up underneath there. That is a 32RH 3-speed automatic transmission. Those things are absolutely bulletproof. If you're going to have an automatic transmission in a Jeep, I highly recommend the 32RH. A lot of folks go with the 42 on manual transmissions, but for an automatic, the 32RH is what you want. I had that rebuilt by Get It in Gear. Get It in Gear is located in Lake Havasu. They did an absolutely superb job. I have never felt shifts as smooth as that transmission right there, and that's my third tranny. Okay, so if you need tranny work done, go talk to Bill at Get It in Gear in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. He will get you set up right. So that's what you're looking at there. Now, let's see here. Let me turn the camera. I hope this is all going to catch. See that front drive shaft right there? That's from Davis. I only run Davis drive shafts as well as the rear, but we'll get to that in a second. Now, down there, you notice how my front diff is leaking. Well, that's one of the failure points on my Jeep. One of these days, I'm going to be putting brand new axles underneath them. But for right now, I'm squeezing out as much as I possibly can with the differentials. So we're running a Dana 30 in the back, a Dana 35 in the front with 270 something gear, 273 I think it is. It's just the stock gears, but it's not the right kind of gears, guys. When you're running a 33-inch tire on a Jeep, you need to be running 410 or 411 gears. Okay, but I don't have that right now, but it's coming. Give me a few years, and I'll probably that's when I'll put in new axles, front and rear. Okay, let's look around the back here. Let me switch around. I'm going to go back here now. Okay. Here we go. I'll get that out of there. All right, hope you guys can see that. Okay, so in the back here, we have another Davis drive shaft. And again, it's the stock axle. Now, one of the things about Bob that I don't like is he doesn't stop very good. And so someday that's all going to change, because the new front and rear axles are going to have disc brakes instead of drum. Right now there's drum brakes on the rear, disc on the front. The new axles are going to have a much bigger rotors, front and rear, for lot better stopping power. I can't wait for that day to come, but new axles are a pretty penny. You're looking at around, with parts and labor, about $15,000 for brand new ones, front and rear. So it's going to be a while before we get there. Let's give it a few more years. Back here, I've got armor. See the armor underneath the tank? Okay, I have bumped that tank, that tank armor many times. It keeps the rock out of your fuel tank. And what else we have underneath here? And I got the shorty muffler system coming right out of the header, dumping down right there where you can see it. Gives it a nice sound. And the other thing is you notice, see how that muffler is nicely tucked up higher than the skid plate that's sitting underneath the transfer case? Well, keeps the rocks out of that muffler. And even to this day, as many rocks as I have scraped over, I've never gotten a rock into that muffler. All right, what else we have underneath here? So everything you're looking is, except for the axles, the entire drivetrain is brand new. New transmission. The transfer case is brand new. The drive shafts are all brand new. Well, I mean less than 3 years old when I say brand new. Everything has been installed brand new within the last 3 years. So the only thing that you're looking at underneath here that is old or from stock are the axles and the frame and the body. All right, let's get out from underneath. Okay, guys, I will be right back. Okay, guys, time to look at the front end. Okay, here we are underneath the front part of the Jeep. And what are we looking at here? You're looking at the TerraFlex 9550. This is a steering stabilizer right here. Okay, does a fantastic job, especially with larger tires. You got to have a steering stabilizer, and that is in combination with these Curry steering right here. Look at the size of these bad boys. I mean, you're not going to bust or bend one of them unless you do something super silly. The steering on this thing is just absolutely phenomenal. However, I'm going to put the camera here for a second, and then you just have to look at, when I'm pointing my finger. See the gearbox right there and the pitman arm? Okay, that gearbox even has the sticker on it that says remanufactured. This gearbox is stock. It's a stock remanufactured steering gearbox. All right, when you got tires like this, you're going to have a little bit of play in something like that. So you get what's called float. Let me put the camera back over here. Float is when you're going down the highway. You'll notice that your Jeep kind of is drifting a little bit left, a little bit right, depending on the contour of the road. Okay, well, that floating back and forth on the road can come from one of two things. It can either be coming from the gearbox, or it can be coming from your joints here. Those could be worn out, you know what I'm saying? But in my case, it's the gearbox where that comes from. So I'm going to be putting a new red top. That's what they're called. It's a red top gearbox. They're so much better than stock, and that'll eliminate all of that and tighten up my steering a whole heck of a lot more. I'm going to be doing that within the next couple of months because I'm tired of that. Now, after I got it out of the shop, and Paul, you remember this if you've watched the video to this length. He got it out on the road, and all of a sudden he got death wobble. That's what it's called. It's called death wobble. Well, it wasn't the steering that was causing that. It was my tires. These are pretty worn down. So what I had to do is I had to rebalance them, et cetera, and that got rid of the death wobble. Another thing that can cause death wobble is your worn out steering components as well as a worn out gearbox. So I believe that once I put on those brand new Mickey Thompsons and I eliminate this stock gearbox and go with the red top, the days of my death wobble are going to be behind me, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. Now you can take a look down here on the axle. You see where that one is, the seal is leaking. I just fill it up every now and then. I'm just kind of getting as much out of it as I possibly can. It's got some dents. You can see where I've hit rocks over the years, but not too many. Not as bad as some Jeeps that I've seen. But that's what we've got down underneath here. All right, I'll be right back. Okay guys, so you can see why you don't just throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can see all of the work that I have put into old Bob, and that's why when you blow an engine, you don't just get rid of the Jeep. Because if you did, think about the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars that you're going to be throwing away for what? Because of a failed engine? No, that's just not practical. You pull out the old one, you put in a new one. So there you go. You guys have gotten the full tour. That is all about Bob. I don't think I missed a single thing. You know, he's scratched up. You see these scratches right here? Well, that's where I went off the road one day going up to my house in Wyoming. I caught this tire into a snowdrift and it flung me into the burrow ditch, and I went right up against a barbed wire fence. That's where all those scratches are from. But should I paint it? You know, should I give Bob a paint job? Why? So that he'll be all pretty for a few weeks, but after a few months with all the brush and everything that I rub him up against, he'll be all full of prairie, what we call in Wyoming, prairie pinstriping or Arizona pinstriping. So, you know, why put a few $1,000s into I guess I could do a wrap. Again, you're going to scratch it all to heck. So I just like the way that he looks. He looks like a tool, okay? He's a tool. That's how I use him, and that's why he looks the way he does. He's not some shiny, fancy, handy-dandy pavement, you know, princess running around. Bob's a tool. Darn it, and he gets the job done, and he does it well. Guys, that is it. I can't think of anything more I want to show you on Bull Bob. You got the full walk around. You know all what he's about now. So when you see him going down the dusty trail, you can tell people, hey, I watched that video. I know that Jeep upside down and inside out. Guys, thank you. I mean it. I just thank you for helping me out financially. I was in a real pickle there for a while, but you came through for me. And when I was stuck next to the highway, I kind of thought I knew what had happened, and I was just scratching my head like, oh my gosh, this is so unfortunate. What am I going to do? But with your help, you helped me. You pulled me out of that situation, and here I am back out on the trail doing what I love to do, and doing it for you guys, because I know you love to watch. You love to watch these places that I explore. There's a lot of you out there that, you know, you can't do this activity. You kind of, you know, you live vicariously through me. I realize that. And that's why I try to give you the best possible productions as possible. And now I've got at least another 15 plus years I can do it again, all with these all these brand new components. All right, well, there's a mine around here. That's why I came up here today. You can probably look off that direction and see that big waste rock pile. We got one here. There's a primary haulage added over here with water coming out of it, and another one around the corner over here. So that's what we're doing today, killing two birds with one stone, showing you doing the All About Bob video. And now I'm going to get geared up and explore this old mine. Again, thank you so much for coming along. I hope you enjoyed the long and extensive tour, and I'll see you again in the next episode. All right, everybody, you take care now. Bye-bye.